Can I ask a little question?
Cooper's thinking about, I want to get into the property market.
Great players.
It would have been Rod Stewart.
You've got to turn over some of this roster.
My chafe got so bad.
Okay, now today on the backstage with Cooper and Matty Johns, we have got one of the greatest players in the modern era, in my opinion.
Ooh.
He's had some tough runs with injuries, but when he's fully fit, there hasn't been a better attacking player. And we're talking about Tom Trbojevic.
Turbo time.
Old teammate of yours.
Old teammate, old friend.
What's it like to play with?
With Turbo. Very good. I mean, he got hurt the year we played together. Did the Peck in Origin last year, obviously. But, I mean, when he started the year round one and he really built into his year. Once he started getting going, it was unbelievable to play with. And just the confidence, like, he wasn't, he probably didn't have as big his impact on the game that year coming back from a big injury. It wasn't as big as his 2021 Daily M season, but just the confidence and the aura that he's got out there, like it just makes a team incredible. And I remember there was a game in particular, we played the Battle of Brookvale against the Melbourne Storm, and Turbo was just on fire that game. Like he just had a big game. He could just really pull a rabbit out of the hat.
When he's fully fit and playing, Manly, top 14. That's it. I think looking through the league, there's a number of clubs that are really dependent on one player. Newcastle Knights.
Who's that player?
Kalen Pye.
Oh, yeah.
And I think there's a few others around. It's funny. I haven't seen a centre have as big an influence on a team as Stephen Crichton at the Bulldogs. But, of course, Tom Trbojevic at Manly, I think, is probably the number one.
I'd say he's probably he's been the most influential.
Yeah. But, mate, such a amazing family. Such, and the thing about it is, like, he and Jake, and I've met Ben before, and Luke, I met Luke, they're all great kids because, mate, they're a byproduct of their family, their mum and dad, who's just beautiful people. Do
you think that's always the case?
I know where you're going with this. I'm not going to engage.
Why?
On a different note.
What?
On a different note. We're talking about great players.
Go.
And a couple of nights ago, I sat and watched the Dolphins play. They played South Sydney.
Yep.
South Sydney Rabbitohs, glory, glory.
Hull.
Isaiah Katoa is that young bloke, that playmaker. He is something really, really special.
Yeah.
The Dolphins, mate, he's extended recently. Mate, just lock him down. Lock him down for a long, long time.
I'll tell you right now, somebody who played well, who people probably, he gets a bad rap. Tavita Pangai.
Best I've seen him move, Coops.
And I know it's, he's been under criticism a lot. His attitude's always under question. But, geez, Wayne, if there's anybody who's going to get it out of Tavita Pangai, which everybody kind of knows the talent that he's got, it is Wayne Bennett.
Well, what does South need? One of the things South need, they need big explosive forwards, right? Where's Wayne going next year? He's going to South.
South, Dad.
So if he continues to play like he is, I reckon Tavita will be at Redfern.
Is that
wow? That's mine. Coops.
That'd be big.
It's the best I've seen him move of all his career. Like the way he just moved, and he looked fit. Like I reckon he'll get fitter, but he looked fit. And the thing about it is, Coops, like footballers, talk to them. You think about 1 or 2 kilos, and you go, "Oh, that's nothing." But I want you to put this into context. A thoroughbred racehorse, right? Running the Melbourne Cup.
Winks.
It carries 58 kilo on its back, let's imagine, right? And it wins, and wins well. You put 61 kilo on its back, and suddenly it comes right back to the field, put another 2 kilos, and it doesn't win. So you're talking about a 1-ton animal.
1 ton?
No, it wouldn't be 1 ton. But no,
it's not an elephant.
Let's say, for instance, like a half-ton, 500 kilo animal, a thoroughbred, for instance, and you put 2 extra kilos on its back, and that's how big a difference it makes.
Good point.
You think about a human being, right, who's, let's say, 100 kilos. So the difference between 100 kilos and 98 kilos, and it's over the course of 80 minutes. That's how significant a 1 or 2 kilos is to a footballer.
It's a good point, yeah. I didn't really.
It's
I
a
never
great
really thought of
point.
it. Yeah. I didn't really think.
It's a
Sorry,
wonderful point.
sorry.
It's a
mate.
wonderful
I'm
point.
not taking away from the
But
fact
young
that you're amazing.
Katoa, and Trey Fuller, especially. We had Justin Hodges on the show. Justin Hodges coached him as a young bloke.
Trey?
Coming through the grades, Trey Fuller.
Yeah.
And he said, they just said he's not going to make it. He's too small. I cannot believe there's still imbeciles out there that are saying that players are too
Was
small.
it Rockhampton boy, Trey Fuller?
Is he?
Yeah, he grew up with Harry Grant. Played footy with Harry Grant growing up. And I remember ever since I was good mates with Harry, he said whenever we'd play against the Redcliffe Dolphins in reserve grade or under 20s, whatever it was, whenever we come against Trey Fuller, Harry would always emphasise to everyone, he'd go, this bloke, do not underestimate him. He's that good. Like he should be. Harry used to say all the time to different people in passing, recruitment officers, sign Trey Fuller.
Wow.
Like Harry Grant was his biggest advocate always. Obviously, it took him a while to get picked up. Probably lucky for Trey that Redcliffe were able to get an NRL side, and because I don't think if Redcliffe sliding doors to him, I don't think if Redcliffe, got that NRL side, I don't think anyone else would have just picked him up because he's been around for a while.
The amount of fullbacks in the game at the moment, backup fullbacks, and they're very similar in stature. You got Tuapiki, Keeney, who's now
Lehigh Hopewadi,
Su'a Failonga, and they're very, very similar players. The way they move and like that. So.
Back on Harrison Grant.
Mm-hmm.
One of for a bloke, a young fella, great eye for footballers. I've often heard him say to different coaching staff, saying we should go after this player to when he was down in Melbourne before that player's actually either debuted or made Origin sides. I remember he was a big advocate for Ruben Cotter and Paddy Carrigan before they'd even played first grade. He was trying to get them down there.
Wow.
Obviously, the clubs they were at sort of were able to retain them, but before anybody really saw that, because Harry's old man, as you know, Pigo, Pig up there in Yeppoon, he had a great eye for recruiting. He was actually the one who tipped the Melbourne Storm off about Cameron Munster up there in Rockhampton. So he's got a really good eye. I can see Harry post-football, or even obviously he's doing it while he's playing, but going into recruiting.
Yeah. Well, mate, Harry's a pure footballer. Grew up that probably all he ever wanted to be, and footballers know footballers.
Yeah.
So, anyway, mate, talking about great footballers,
I think I can hear Turbo. Mate, before we can I give a shout out quickly? If whatever reputable platform you are listening to right now, hit that follow and subscribe button. If you're driving, wait for the red light, or if there's phone cameras up, maybe just pull over and turn your car off and then do it.
Can you pass me that over? Just want to do a little bit of something.
This?
Yeah, give me this.
Okay. I'm passing him over the picture of Jake Trbojevic for those who aren't listening.
Yeah.
And now...
I'm just proud, mate. I'm just proud, yeah, I'm just proud, that's what I am. I'm just proud.
The people who are listening in the car, he's holding up a picture of Jake Trbojevic and doing an impersonation of him.
Sorry, I forgot that it was a...
audio?
It was an audio medium. Anyway, his bro is in the building.
Here he is. Special guest, Thomas Turbo Trbojevic. How are you, mate?
Good, Coops. How you going?
Give me some skin.
Yeah, mate.
Give me some skin.
Yeah.
Good to see you, mate. How's Manly going? Travelling well?
Yeah, good. We had a good win last week. It was a tough one up there, but to win in Golden Point's always nice. So we're kind of just in that cluster of teams at the moment. So it's a big few weeks for us to get a few wins and hopefully, go past them.
Mate, before we get into the nuances of your beautiful, wonderful career and some of the former teammates you've played with, myself included, Matthew just said off air there will be no injury talk in this podcast. But I just wanted a couple of questions for you.
Oh.
First came back in the centres on the weekend. How'd you feel? How was?
Yeah, it was different. I hadn't played there for a while, so a lot more tackles than you like making.
Yeah, there's a
lot.
lot.
I didn't enjoy, but it's a different challenge, which is exciting.
And decisions. You got to make a lot of. People don't realise you have to make a lot of tackles, but you also got to make a lot of big decisions out in the centres in terms of jamming and holding your ground. How are you finding that?
Yeah, it was a challenge, and obviously the contact and stuff was a bit fatiguing for me. Not used to it, so something that I've got to build on. But I'm back to fullback this week, which is obviously because Tolo's out, so a bit more familiar. But when I do go back there, it'll be it's a new challenge, but it's something that I'm excited about.
Yeah,
We talk about family. Tommy, I can only imagine the excitement when it was announced that Jake was New South Wales captain. I can only imagine your mum and dad. Big John must have went off.
Yeah, Big John almost cried. It was pretty. It was actually Mum and Dad were over at my house, and they were just hoping that Jake was going to be in, obviously. And then when he called and said he's in, they were all so happy. And then he goes, "Oh, and I'm captain," and everyone's kind of froze for a bit. Shit, it's pretty crazy. Like captain of New South Wales, like not too many people say they get to do that. So.
Particularly when you're not even captain of the club side.
I think that's why it took him by surprise a little bit, because he just wanted to get in. He loves playing for New South Wales, and he's very passionate about it, and just wanted to play again. And then all of a sudden he's been told he's captain. So it was a big curveball for him, but he took a few days to take it on board. But I think it's been really good for him.
How was it for you and him? Because you guys are very tight with Teddy. Obviously, you played a lot of footy together. It's particularly Jakey. Like, how did he feel? Obviously, taking the reins of the captaincy off a close friend.
Oh, he did feel a little bit bad, but that's Jake. That's his personality, and you got to kind of let him know that it's not your decision that you're taking it off him. It just kind of is what it is. But Teddy reached out to him and sent him a nice message, and that made him feel a lot better. So, it was hard for him at the start, but he's really grown into that role now, and it was great for him to get a win game too.
Obvious choice.
Yeah,
obvious choice. Yeah, there's no other bloke like he's the bloke you want. Blokes, I know sometimes he beats himself up after a loss, but I'd like to see that someone like who cares that much.
Yeah, he's so passionate.
Yeah,
and Manly, New South Wales, wherever he's playing for, he wears his heart on his sleeve, and he's a guy you want to play alongside. I know everyone says that a lot, but he really is, and everyone loves him. And I was just so proud of him.
Tommy, so we'll talk about the family. So there's Big John and your mum Mel. And you got yourself, you got Jake, of course, you got Ben, and you got Luke. Righto. Out of you blokes, out of the sons, who's the favourite? Who's the sook? Who's the shit stirrer? And who's the square peg in the round hole?
Favourite would, I'm going to say me, because I'm easy. I'm very easy to deal with.
Yeah,
I think you nearly hit all boxes.
Yeah, I won't say perfect, but I'm perfect. You know what I mean? It's one of them, but. Who's the shit stirrer? Ben was the shit of a kid. He was, I think, as it worked, like mum and dad's parenting. Me and Jake very strict. Luke got a bit more lenient, and then Ben was a free for all. He did what he wanted. So I think that's kind of just how parenting works a little bit. But he's turned into an absolute. He's got better now. But
I love that stitch up where you Benny hit the ball into the drink at playing golf. It's in the lake, and Jakey goes, "Go and get it," and Ben goes, "Fuck off, you go get it." So Jakey walks up and Tommy teed him up. He goes, yeah. Tommy starts filming him, and Benny went straight up behind him and just kicked him straight into the pond.
Have you seen you would have seen the footage.
I'm not on social media. I miss all this stuff.
It is. I'll show you after this. No. It is fucking hilarious.
So what we were playing golf. It's actually Christmas Day, and so Jake only had new Pro Vs to play with, so we were all just playing with that. And Ben's hit it straight in the water. Jake's going, you better get that. It's a new Pro V, $8 ball. Ben's going, I'm not getting it. So then he starts walking over, and everyone thinks I told him to do it, but Ben goes, watch this, I'm going to go push him in. I said, all right, sweet, I'll get my phone out. Started filming, and then he ran up and actually pushed him in. You should see it. This lake was that dirty. It was hilarious.
It was like a swamp. Like he come out, and it was just mud from like hips all the way down into his socks. It's all time.
Do you know, I'd say something. Tom, a lot of people, we talk about sporting families and a lot of great families out there, but your mum and your dad, Mel and John, they are unparalleled as far as, their sense of community spirit. Like you blokes come through the Mona Vale Raiders, but, you go to Mona Vale, you go to the ground, the Junior Rugby League, your old man was always on the barbecue, your mum was always in the canteen, and you blokes, remember they used to get you blokes out there marking the field out and stuff like that, that sense of community. They've always been like that?
They've always been like that, and like they like to help people out. That's what mum and dad were like, and, growing up, that footy club did a lot for us, and they gave a lot back to it, so... Yeah, it was good. It was always... I still remember, getting in Dad's truck, driving down there early, and you'd... he'd be barking orders at you trying to set up the field, and you'd always be doing something wrong. But it was just good being down there and, helping out. And, we love that footy club.
Well, I talked about 6-7 years ago, I went and watched the Manly Junior Reps, and I'm sitting there watching while the SG Ball's playing, and I can hear the ground announcer going, "Oh, try there too." So, and I'm thinking, "Geez, I know that voice from somewhere." It was Jake.
Yeah.
Jake was doing the ground announcing. I mean, I feel like so walking out George to Jake and going, "Jake, enough.
Yeah.
Right, you're doing enough for the club." That's
You
funny.
are.
Highest paid ground announcer.
Yeah.
Grant Goldman was shitting himself.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
late Grant Goldman.
Hey, on Manly, were you and all the boys, you and all your brothers Manly fans always growing up, or not?
We weren't, believe it or not.
Well, who were you?
Well, me, Jake, and Luke were actually Newcastle fans.
Oh, thanks.
Oh, what like during this?
I would love to say it was because of Matthew, but it was because of his brother. So first year of footy I watched was 2001. So I born in '96. So first memory of watching footy was in '01, and I've got memories of that semi-final game against the Roosters when they won by about 50.
Yep.
And then
Yes.
went on to beat Para in the final. So
Yeah.
they're my earliest memories of rugby league. So that's why I went for Newcastle.
You must have copped a bit of stick on the Northern Beaches because,
Did.
I mean, back in those days, Manly and Newcastle were arch enemies.
They were. It was, like when I started going to school, and you got a bit of stick there. But once you got to high school, started following Manly a bit more when they were, it was the Manly Storm era.
I want to talk about your dad for 1 second. And a bloke told me this story. It's a great story because I've heard people say before, did Tom and Jake's old man play rugby league? And the bloke told me the story. Your dad was a very, very good player playing for the Narrabeen Sharks.
Yep.
Now, playing for the Narrabeen Sharks was his decision in the fact that he just wanted to play with his mates. And Manly got in touch with him, really impressed, and said, "Mate, we want you to come along and we're going to grade you with the club and get you to play." It's about halfway through the year. And John said, "I don't want to. I just want to play with my mates." And they said, "Well, if you don't come and play, we can stand you down from your club." So John went and played in the reserve grade game and deliberately had a shocker so he could go back and play for the Narrabeen Sharks.
Jeez, I haven't heard that one.
Yeah, yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow,
so a
that's
couple of blokes, and I asked one of the Narrabeen blokes about it, and he swore. He said, "Yeah, that happened."
yeah. They all say he was one of the best players not to play for Manly,
Yeah,
but I hadn't heard that story. I have to ask him.
Yeah.
when I go home.
yeah. He's a great.
Tommy will
fella.
go home and ask you, fuck, no, that never happened.
How dare he?
I've never played a shit game.
Hey, you spoke about Love of the Nights before because of Joey, and Dad'll be able to elaborate on this more, but a lot of similarities between you and Andrew in terms of coming through, being a prodigy as a child, coming through a lot of, like, you would have been probably the most sought after under 20s SG ball player, if not of all time. Like, you're up there in terms of your under 20s highlights are ridiculous. You're running for like 500 meters. Did that pressure as a youngster have a lot of an effect on you?
Oh, I wouldn't say it did. No, like I always just loved footy. So, like I just played footy. Like I didn't really think about it too much. The pressure's probably come a bit later in my career when around about now when you're kind of looking back and you want to achieve success. For Manly. So as a young guy, I just loved the game. I loved playing for Manly. So it wasn't hard. It was just you're out there having fun and doing what you love.
That's a great attitude because a lot of people will feel that pressure. Andrew was similar to you, Tom. Since when he was a very young boy, people would drive to come and watch Andrew play as a young kid, and they used to say, "That bloke," and he fulfilled that potential. Yeah. Actually, on that note, I remember once, like the greatest ice hockey player of all time, Wayne Gretzky, he came into Triple M, and I asked him about like being a child prodigy, and he said when he was like 6 and 7 years of age, people would literally drive 200 miles to Edmonton to watch this kid play.
Wow!
And back then he was known, I think it was the great one, and he always. He lived up to that potential. Mate, school, Tommy, you're an excellent student. What did you score in the HSC?
It was 94. I was a maths nerd. Weird, yeah.
You're good with numbers.
Good with numbers, yeah.
Yeah, that was your thing, Matt. You were good at maths. Yeah.
Loved it.
So when you were doing your HSC, were you training in the first grade squad?
No, I was playing 20s. Right. So a year after school, then I started training first grade. So
me and Dad have spoken about this before in terms of, do you find you being good with numbers as a fullback particularly, do you find that helps? Like looking down a short side, you always know when you've got the overlap and knowing those like tendencies of shape?
Well, I think it does.
Yeah.
It's not obviously, you don't need it, but I think it's definitely helped me, because a lot of playing fullback and setting the line up is about numbers. And so, yeah, I think it definitely helped me.
Yeah. I'll ask you about that, Tom. it's really interesting. Like when you work with some ball players sometimes, and you actually look and you teach them to count numbers, and that can be really difficult when you're on the run. You go, 1, 2, 3, you're trying to count them, and there's blokes coming back into the line and which way they're going. A lot of times it's like gut instinct. Yeah, it's like have one glance and have a gut instinct to which side you got to go and go. Is that like because you got very good vision sitting behind picking and choosing? Is that what you do? You just get a gut feel?
Yeah, you kind of like. I like to work off back rowers because you kind of know in a defensive line outside of back row, like back row is 4 in, so you kind of use them as your markers to what you need. Obviously, it's not always like that, but that definitely helps you. But it is just gut instinct. Like, like they can say, oh, you need 5 from here or 6 from here, but you've got to feel it sometimes. If you got two of their halves on one side of the field, you need to give them an extra number. So
a lot of time, as you said, it's just looking at that third defender from the edge and just saying, "Can I get to him?"
Yeah,
isn't that? It's as simple as that. Forget what's in there. If I can get to him, something's going to happen. Yeah. Just back on school, what was your ambition coming through school? What did you want to be apart from football, Tommy?
Well, I didn't really know. Like I love numbers, and so I did go into studying finance afterwards. So that's because I just love maths, and I thought it would be the natural progression.
And you love money as well.
Takes one to know one there, mate. Takes one to know one there.
Hey, it's good money acting like a fuckwit. Don't worry.
Yeah, but Mum just saw, like, she was all about, just working hard at school and doing your best. And, I probably took it a bit too far and worked a bit too hard. But because, you look back on it now and think, what does 94 really mean? But
did nothing with it.
You do nothing with it, but it's just what she instilled in us.
Well, Tom, how you'll play for another 8, 9, 10 years.
Jesus.
Have you got anything worked out now, what you want to go into post-football?
I do a bit of stuff with a equipment finance firm.
Yep.
So they're good, just, part-time every now and again. When I've got a bit of time off, I go in there and meet clients and whatnot. But, you don't have a real clear picture of what you'll do. Hopefully you play for a bit longer and see what happens.
I will say, just going back on Dad saying you love money, because I don't want you to be put in the same category as one of the tight man over there.
This is the rumour that goes around. It all gets around that on this tight ass. Hey, listen, just because I look at a bank, right, at all these tellers, and there's a Commonwealth Bank teller, and it's $2.50 to get some money out, just because I walk a kilometre to the ANZ Bank, just because I'm frugal. I'm not tight. I'm just saying, I find it unnecessary to give the banks any more money they already get.
Okay, I was more referring to the time that you snuck many bottles of vodka into the Colorado Beach Club because you didn't want to pay an extra $5 for a vodka soda. That's what I mean by tight.
Yeah.
Turbo.
I don't do that anymore.
No, you would never, because the pokies have moved upstairs down there now. But which they have.
Hey, let me tight asses don't play pokies.
Great establishment.
Wonderful.
It is good fun. But Turbo. When I was at before we started playing together, Turbo became synonymous at the Storm because we seen him over in Bali. He was over there when we were doing like a Mad Monday over there. And Turbo, being the good bloke he did, he come over and bought like 30 drinks for all of us on this huge tray.
Cheap in Bali.
Yeah,
smart boys.
He was smart. But ever since then, everyone at Melbourne thought it was like the greatest thing ever. And that became synonymous with Turbo rounds. So whenever we'd go out, a chant would go out for a Turbo round, and whoever was in the top 3 paid in the playing squad would every single time have to come back with a round of 30 every single time. And Turbo, I will say, anytime there is a drink, you are great for putting rounds in people's hands.
Oh, I'll do my best.
You do. All the boys say, you and Jakey especially, there has been nights out where I haven't even put my hand in the pocket.
Yeah.
We've asked you to, you just don't want to.
Oh, really?
Chip off the old block.
Yeah. Nah. Yeah. Oh, look, Dad was a bit like that. He used to give a lot, so, we're lucky we get paid well to play footy, so give a bit back to the boys.
Sweet, mate. Doesn't hurt, mate, even if you only played 2 or 3 games. Now, you played for the Sydney Squads as a young bloke?
Yeah, played until I was about 15, then had to make a decision. So Dad loved AFL. Like, he still probably likes it better than league, but he watches the league a lot more now because of us. But he loved it, so I got into it when I was about 11, 12 years old. Played for 4 years.
Is that at a Swans Academy or something? Was that?
Yeah, they had an academy. So, you'd go down, a couple of nights a week and just train with some of their development guys.
How'd you find it, Tom?
It's a good game, good fun.
Yeah.
I was never as good as what everyone probably makes out to be, but I did really enjoy it.
Did they offer you a contract?
No, it was
Yeah.
kind of like got to the year when I started playing hard maths, and I let him know that
Yeah.
I didn't want to pursue AFL anymore.
Because there's been a little bit of talk that, when you played first grade and started to have an impact, that they were interested in having another go.
No,
Yeah.
unless people are keeping things for me.
Yeah, right.
Well, he can't kick. He can't. I've seen him try to kick before. He couldn't kick a
I
dog.
could back in the day, believe it or not.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Because I've seen you try to kick at training last year, and it was.
Well, you can do much
I
better.
was going to say, glass houses, Billy Slater.
Yeah, literally.
Shit, yeah, I don't know what I was thinking there. Hey, other sports, because you are a good cricketer too, and golfer. Like, you got a good swing, so it comes into both.
Nice to me. Yeah, we played cricket, did a bit of basketball, but we play golf now, obviously.
Because you play cricket, like, every Boxing Day, you and all the boys do, like, all your brothers and that do a big Boxing
Australia
Day.
Day.
Yeah.
Oh, is it
Cricket Day.
Australia Day?
That's like Manly's thing.
Yeah.
When I first come there, the first training, it was 2015. We had this cricket day, and me being just a fresh 18-year-old, never drunk till I was 18, goody two-shoes, and come to this cricket day, and I got a rude shock, a very rude shock.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Some of the players in that team too would have absolutely have obliterated you alcohol. Like, who would have been there then? Snake would have still been there?
Mhm.
Both the Stewart brothers?
No, just Brett.
Mm.
Who else was there?
You had like Killer,
Yeah.
Matty Ballin.
Chock?
Chock was not there.
Thank God.
Not there.
Foz and Ches would have been there.
Had Foz, Ches, they were all there, yeah. Good fun, but good day.
Hey, Tom, just on, you said Killer, just Jamie Lyon. Story just completely out of context. Was he one of the most natural footballers you ever played with?
Yeah, it would have to be. If you saw him in the gym, in the showers with his shirt off, you would have looked at him and said, he does not belong on a footy field, but
Yeah.
he was unbelievable.
I heard James Graham talking about him. So he had a big impact out here with Parramatta and just sort of fell out of love with the game, went to Wee War,
Yeah.
was playing local football in Wee War and just pig shooting. And then St Helens reached out. Someone tipped St Helens off and said, there's this player, out in Australia, blah, blah, blah. So they went, okay, we'll bring him over. James Graham said when he arrived, everyone went, is this a joke? And then they were doing fitness. He said he was that overweight and he's doing fitness. And he was coming last and they going, mate, the club were stressing, going, mate, we've been sold a dud. And then from the moment he started playing, he became one of their greatest players.
It's funny, isn't it funny, rugby league? Like, some of the best players are some of the most unathletic people you've ever laid eyes on.
Tamana Tahu. Tamana, when you saw him just run, do sprints without the ball in his hand, he ran with his gait and limped. He looked lame, but the moment the ball hit his hands, everything was just aligned and just perfect.
Yeah. Well, Cameron Smith was the same. Like not shit at fitness, but just so average in every department, and then just would get on the field, and it was just a chess match for him. Like, everything was just so easy.
Joey was a bit the same. Joey had, fitness-wise, he was really good. Like, he used to carry a bit of timber, particularly when, mate, sometimes he'd go on benders. And he'd turn up on...
No.
Yeah,
Joey.
I know, the guy. Sorry, guys. We might have to cut that out as a revelation. He'd go on benders and, during the off-season, and turn up on Saturday morning training and, win it. And, he's probably carrying weight. He's not particularly fast, but just had a good engine.
What about you at Manly, under 20s SG Ball? Run us through some of the players that you started playing with there. When did you sign your first contract for Manly?
Would have been first year of SG Ball. Would have been turning 17.
Who'd you come through with there? Because you had a lot of good juniors with you.
We had our 20s team made the final. We had in it Liam Knight, Jesse Ramian, Nico. Who else was in it?
Jeez, Nico.
Brad Parker would have been?
Right.
Brad didn't play in that. He was playing with his brother. Do you remember James?
Yeah,
He's
James.
a good player.
Yeah, he just come out of... He's seen him play in rugby union locally on the weekend. He came out of retirement.
He was a very good player. Who else?
Looked like he swallowed Brad.
Yeah, that's him. We had a good side.
Nico, because it's funny, a sliding doors moment. Like, you and Nico, you obviously debuted quite early after that under 20s year, but Nico obviously took a lot longer.
Yeah.
What a sliding doors, we're going to talk about the Dally M year a bit after, but you in the Dally M 2021 year after Nico went to 2022.
Yeah, it's he's got a really good story, Nico, and you know, it did take him a while to get there, but, you know, he's really taken it by storm. And it's a credit to him. He's worked really hard. And, you know, he's always someone that did work hard, but, you know, it just took a bit long for him to get there.
Yeah, it was funny. I always heard his name, Nico Hines, because it's a name you do remember. But I never saw him play, but I keep hearing, Nico Hines, Nico Hines. And I remember when I interviewed him, like he said, what happened at Manly completely blindsided him. He was playing really good. He went up and played a New South Wales Cup game, played really good there, and suddenly it just went bang, it cut. And he said knocked him around for a couple of years.
Yeah, we had like I'm not sure what year it would have been exactly, but we had a big changeover. Like Tubes was coach, and then Baz come in, and we got a whole new staff, and you know, it was a big change for a lot of people. So I think he got, you know, thrown out the back door at the back of that, which is hard. As a young kid, you don't really experience that too often. So
no, I saw Tom just about, might have been close to your first game in NYC under 20s. I think he's were playing Penrith at 4 Pines, Brookvale Oval, and they were struggling. And mate, you came on and you were, mate, literally taken 2 or 3 in a set of 6, and you pinched the result. I'm just having a look here, like your elevation. It was rapid. I mean, 2014, you've sort of broken into 20s, but 2015 is your season. But by round 5, 2015, you make your NRL debut against Canberra. By the way, 2 tries on debut. What do you remember of it?
yeah, it was cool. Like I remember walking into Tubes' office when he told me I was debuting, and you know, you kind of, I walked out of there and was like, shit, like, because you know, you grow up watching NRL players, like even training with them, you still feel like you don't belong in that environment, and then to be told you're going to be playing, I was shitting myself all week. But yeah, we made the trip out to, first game was in Albury, Lavington Sports Ground, so we placed the debut, but all family were out there, and I still getting the bus in. I'm there going, shit, what am I doing here? I don't belong here. And it's not till you get in the field and you get out there and you just love it.
Because you're on the wing that game as well.
Yep.
Who were some of the players? Like, were you intimidated by any of the players in that Raiders side, being a young guy?
Yeah, they had a good, like, I remember, like, you look at their middles, like Dane Tilson and all that, just big bodies.
Yeah.
And I was a 95 kilo scrawny winger just from the Northern Beaches doing his best, you know.
Terry Campese?
Campese was playing, yeah.
Campo would have been out there, yeah.
Politician? Or Campo, no, he pulled out of the race.
Yeah.
It's fun, mate. One of my first games, we played in Canberra, and ran on the field, and I looked over the other side, and there was Laurie Daly, Ricky Stewart, Mal Meninga, Ruben Wiki, Steve Walters, and just went, what the fuck am I doing?
Yeah.
I wanted to be anywhere else.
Yeah.
2016, you're in the extended Origin squad. 2017, you're a pick for Australia in the World Cup. That sort of rides. Looking at that on paper, it looks rapid. Did it feel as lightning fast to you?
Yeah, it did. It honestly did. And I remember, you know, I didn't play Origin to 2018, but being in that World Cup squad, and you know, some of the players that were there, like, you know, Billy Slater, Cam Smith, Cooper Cronk, you know, like best to ever play the game. And
how nervous did you feel going into camp?
Oh God, yeah. Oh, I was just yes sir. What do you want me to do? This, that, and it was just, yeah, you just didn't feel like you should be there.
How much did you play in that World Cup?
I played 2 games. So we played England. You play 3 knockout games, or not knockout games, so round robin games. And so we played England first, and then we played France and Lebanon. I played in those 2 games.
Yeah, right.
That was that the year? Because I went down to Melbourne that pre-season. Was that the year Money got Munster and Benny Hunt had their little remember that?
Yeah. Well, rugby league, there's so many incidents every week that you forget some of those.
Oh,
ones.
mate. So I know. When I was reading it, I was going, I think that was the year that Money come back and he looked huge from thing, and I remember that Melbourne were that off him. Go, what do you? Melbourne Money back then had that tendency after a few beers, he would get so lippy and aggressive. I remember me and him were in a cab one night with Tui Kamikamitha, and he offered me out to like a wrestle in front of the cab, and we were fighting for double underhooks and wrestling on the bonnet of this cab for like 25 minutes. He flogged me in the end because he's a strong dude, but he had that mongrel in him.
Who was your roomie?
No, we didn't have roomies.
Oh,
you got your own room.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
It was a lot of fun though, being an emu.
Oh, yeah.
It was a requirement to
that is a
go
lot of
out
fun.
more than you probably should.
We when we went 95, we had to have roomies all the time. It was hilarious. You were standing there. It's like being billeted.
Yeah.
And they go, okay, so-and-so, and Johns and Jason Smith. And I was like, oh, yeah, that'll be good. Jason Smith. He's a man of few words, Jason Smith. But he walked into the hotel, Holiday Inn at Leeds. He just grabbed a chair. I think, what's he doing? Grabbed a chair, got up, disengaged the smoke alarm, and just laid on the bed and just smoked basically for 6 weeks.
Oh, God.
That's dreadful, eh? That'd be so just stinking of secondhand smoke in that room.
I don't know if I could handle that.
Oh, mate, it was hard, Jack. 2018, you make your Origin debut. You win the series. You score 2 tries. How different did you find Origin to club football and even international football?
Yeah, it's just a different arena, isn't it? Like, you just take everyone just takes their place, themselves to different places when you're playing Origin. You know, the crowd and everything about it. It's just it's so much fun.
Who took you under? Because you had a lot of good leaders in. I think Jimmy Maloney and some of those guys were playing.
Boyd Cordner was unreal.
He was the leader for you.
Someone you just look up to, and just how hard he went at everything he did. You know, training and game day, like it's crazy.
I've heard some like sickening stories of Boydo when he was young, like 17, coming up, and they get him to play, like train, help the first graders prepare for the thing. And I think Shandor Earl was there at the time, and he said he's never seen anyone, like a young guy, train like it, like just would, so physical and every rep. Like there's blokes like that at every club, but some people are just tapped in the head where every rep has to be 100 miles an hour.
Yeah, he's like that. It's just so tough too.
Yeah.
He was training with the first grade squad when he was 16.
Yeah.
Went over and watched him train one day, and I'm looking at this young bloke. I was thinking, who's this guy? And they said, oh, mate, he's a young bloke from Taree who was at the Newcastle Knights and got pinched. You know, he was only 16, had a lot of injuries, didn't he, when he was young?
When he was young,
knee
yeah.
recos. And,
Yeah.
Mate, that 2019 series, honestly, like when I think of that series, Tom, I think about you and Latrell in the centres. And it was a bit like the other night when I looked at Latrell and Stephen Crichton. There's certain combinations you let and you go, we're not going to get beat. I remember 2019 where there was you and Latrell. I said, there is no way that you guys are going to get beat. Did you, like, and the thing I loved about that was you and Latrell linking and playing together. That must have been a lot of fun to play with Latrell.
I think you're talking about the 2021 series?
I was at 2021.
Yeah, that was, it was obviously, that's when I was playing some of my best footy, so, I was very confident and, had good freedom to roam the field and whatnot, and played to my strengths, and it was good. Like the first game up there in Townsville was, one that I'll always remember, and just in the way we won, it was special.
What was that? Because that was very at that time. Like now, you just see centres roaming a lot more with players like Joey Manu and stuff at club level, but then centres were very much stuck on their side. Like they were, don't leave your side. What was that? What were the conversations in at Origin where they kind of said to you and Latrell, you guys just go where you want in attack?
It was, it would come from Freddie. He's very like that. He doesn't want you to be, bogged down and I guess sit on one side. So he was just like, play footy and do what you see. And it's a lot of fun work for us. We obviously got a lot of good field position and we're playing in front of playing behind some pretty good forwards, which made it a lot easier. But yeah, it was just, we're just playing footy and that's what, like, as, we're both fullbacks, so you kind of understand the game a bit better, I guess, in doing that. So
there was a period there where the whole back line was nearly just fullbacks in that stat. I think it was series nearly.
I mean, you could pick a pretty good NRL side right now out of picking just fullbacks. I mean, you have a look at the backup fullbacks in a lot of clubs.
Oh, yeah.
Incredible. That swinging. Do you want a bit of history?
You and Mum?
Sorry, I thought I was talking to Trish. But that linking together. So the evolution of the game, it used to be that the centres would swing and play together, always. So you would work the ball to a far side, the centre would swing around and they'd operate in combination. And the other thing that used to happen, defensive-wise, the two edge defenders used to be the 6 and the 13. And so when the ball would move, and because the centres would switch and link in attack, then the same thing used to happen in defence. Yeah. So if the ball moved over, if you're defending and the ball moved over to Stephen Crichton's edge and he goes, if it works, past the scrum line, you had to go.
And like a union model kind of.
Yes, it was, and linking. And the same thing with the 13 and the 6, they were called adjustable parts. So if the ball went past the far post, and you looked up as a 6 and you see them start to stack the other side, then you went across as an
So
adjustable
it's
part.
almost like it's a bit like that AFL where they tag. Like you'd almost have someone tagged.
Yeah.
You just
But it
follow
was-
your man.
But it was complex. It was quite cerebral. You're there watching, going,
So
oh,
did you
should I
have
go?
wingers?
Yeah, you had the wingers were nailed down. They stayed on the side.
13 and 6 on the.
13-6 were on it went on the defensive edge. It'd be winger, centre, 6, and the other side would be winger, centre, 13.
Was that the halfback swinging around?
Yeah, and
back?
and they would and the halfback would oftentimes sit, which I think would work very good now.
Second fullback.
What he would sit at a thing we did at the Knights called a safety, where he would sit directly behind the markers, but 1 metre behind the line. And what he would do, he'd just tighten the ruck, or if someone did a hit up and he sees them starting to penetrate through the line, he'd jump and go third man in and force them back. So there's a bit, you know what I mean? Like there's some of
Bit
that
to it, yeah.
stuff that would be still relevant now.
Well, that's basically what you do as a fullback now, in terms of rather than having the halfback there, the fullback sort of plugs into the line.
That's,
comes
yeah,
in.
fullback's roles it changed a lot over the years.
Yeah.
hasn't it? Yeah.
Your 2021 season, where we just spoke a little bit on the origin there, but probably in my opinion, it's probably, and mate, you're a humble guy, you wouldn't want to say this, but it is probably the best individual season of any player to ever play the game of rugby league. Matthew, would you agree?
I would agree. There's
Yeah.
been some people that have had flashes for about 6 to 8 weeks, but that's sustained run.
Yeah, like Ben Barber had a great year. I think it was 2011. There's been a lot of great seasons, but that was unlike anything. Was the preparation for that year? What was that like for you? Like, what was there something brewing in you that you were like, "Fuck, I'm gonna have a good year this year"?
No, well, it's funny. Like, if I go back there, like the previous 2 years, I hadn't been good for me with injury and whatnot, and then, starting pre-season, and then I ended up hurt myself when I was out, and I was going to miss the first month of footy, and kind of had a look at myself then, and just thought that I've got to change a few things in my career if I want to get on the right path, and so I just made a few decisions on the back of that to focus more on footy and make decisions that were the best for my footy, and then coming back and just kind of hit the ground running, and it didn't stop.
Well, have a look at here. You missed the first 5 games. Manly, by the way, they lose 4 of the first 5 games as a result. So you missed the first 5 games, and this is a Dally M season where it's 3-2-1. It's not double points. You can't accumulate 6 points in a game.
Yeah.
And you win the Dally M comfortably. If it had been a 6-point era, like seriously, you would have won by
Winks
halfway to the moon. But like you score in that year 5 or 6 hat tricks, including a state of origin match. At club level, you score 28 tries in 18 games, beating Blakey's record. I think Phil Blake in his second year in first grade scored 27. And Manly get to a grand final qualifier, state of origin man of the series.
Yeah, Wally Lewis medal. Was that?
Yeah.
Sorry, I was just swallowing a cough that just sort of lent up to me there. I wanted to ask you because that was probably, you had a lot of big years but that was probably when Turbo, like the persona of Turbo Tommy came to its full elevation.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
What was that like going out after that season on the Pierce or even walking the streets? How
Or doing sprint races down the
No,
Corso.
no more.
was that? Yeah, sorry.
No, so that was at the start of that year.
So the Corso race, those people that don't know, there was a video of you that emerged running down the Corso. A lot of people also don't know the bloke who was with you there, who was adjudicating the race, was actually me.
I kid you not.
Well, Tom, when that came out, like that all came out, I remember now saying your race is gone, Harry. I was just thinking, Jesus Christ, please tell me Cooper wasn't there. I've just got a gut feel he was.
Yeah,
He was.
It was in the.
Outside the stain, yeah.
Yeah, it was early January or something, wasn't it? Just before the season
Parks'
started.
birthday.
That's what it was. Brad Parker's birthday, and everybody had everybody had left, and it was just me and Turbo left. We were walking to the stain.
You left.
Always, yeah. And someone offered him out. Let's have a race. Righto, and you've just taken up, and the fella. He had some wheels.
He did.
He was an extremely fast player. I don't know what he's. I think that ended up being Ryan Pappenhausen.
Yeah. How was it, Tom? Because I mean, after a certain period of time to get used to it. But that explosion in fame, and that's what it was that, did you find it awkward? Was it a little difficult, the attention?
A little bit, especially when you just been from this area, like you're not really used to it. So it was a little bit, but it's something you get used to. It comes with the game, unfortunately, and you'd rather people talking about you than not, I guess.
Well, Tom, what's pretty amazing now, I wonder what the reaction of the other players were, because it was, boys, was that during the COVID bubble?
Yeah, so we were for most of the year up at Sunny Coast.
So you up in that camp and that bubble, I can only imagine you'd have been big man on campus. How did the other players, like boys, you boys, mate, how did the other players respond to you?
Oh, look, I don't think I'm not walking around there like I'm the
cock of the walk.
Yeah,
but you
were.
were.
Not like you.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
You probably are. But anyway, it was just, I'm very down to earth. I'm easy going, so.
Yeah, well,
so I'll ask you boys, right? When you blokes played against Manly and you played against Tom, what was the game plan? Jack, yeah, speak up.
Yeah, Jack, talk on the mic here. Come in here. It's the first time he's done this.
Yeah, it was getting Turbo's way. Pretty much.
Great game, great insight.
And then Cooper come to us and was getting Cooper's way.
Yeah. For the pre-season.
I will say, though, during the COVID, because I was at Sunny Coast with Tom, it wasn't Tom so much that had the presence. It was probably more Des. Des had like a fair presence. Like all the coaches sort of got along really well, and they'd go for dinner and that. Des had like a storming presence when he'd like walk down the pathway there at Twin Waters. It scared the absolute out of me.
It was actually funny. Like, so there was obviously a group of boys that weren't playing would have to train. Every game day they would do a session, and it was a tough session. But they, like my brother was in this group of people, and he was just like the whole time, we just don't want Des to come out there. Because as soon as Des comes out, the session just gets ridiculously hard. So he reckons they'll do warm-up, they'll be looking around, and he's not there. How good's this? It's going to be an easy session. Then I'd get in the line to start fitness, and you'd just see him emerge from over the hill and just stand there and just start abusing them all for an hour. And he reckons it was so hard. He used to hate it.
I was telling Des's wife, Chris, when... Jack said they used to live across the road. I said, I saw the strangest thing once. When Des was in his last year playing for West, I said there was a thing on out at Western Sydney which all the clubs had to go to or had to send some representatives. And myself and one of the players, we're driving down the Great Western Highway, and there's a bit of a traffic jam. Anyway, this fellow player, it was Robbie Ross, I think, goes, who the fuck? Is that Des Hasler? And I look on the side of the road, along the side of the highway, on this grassed area. He's doing plyometrics over hurdles.
Yeah.
Right. And I told Chris that story, his wife. She goes, "Oh, Matt, he used to do it all the time." She goes, "I remember we go on like Sunday drives with the family, and he'd just go, I'm just going to pull in here for a second." She said, me and the kids would sit in the car while Des did 400 after 400 until he spewed. Then he'd get back in the car and we'd drive home.
Oh, it was his downfall, the plyometrics, because he ruined his hips. I remember him come back pre-season one year and he had to get a hip replacement, but he didn't want to miss too much training. So about a week after he's got the hip replacement, he's already back in there hobbling around, trying to walk. And by the end of it, his other hip was gone. So he had to get another hip replacement.
Well, mate,
it's hilarious.
You look at what he's done with the Gold Coast Titans. It was teething problems to start with, given the fact that it was oil and water how he wanted them to play. Yeah. And I reckon they weren't used to that type of intensity, but they're looking like a Des side now, aren't they?
You've had a fair few coaches. How big was Des in your career?
Oh, he was massive. The way he coached, like being someone I talked before, very like numerical, very detailed like that, and having someone like Des was awesome because he was very detailed, and he didn't miss a beat, and he was massive for me. Massive.
Before you move on, going back on that year for Turbo, you asked Jack. Jack was that you guys were all in the same hotel doing the bubble. We were up at another joint, but I will say that year, I remember we played you guys in the back end of the year at Sunshine Coast Stadium, and I actually remember Bellyache saying leading into the game, because he compared that season to Ben Barber 2011. He said, this video session has one player in it and one player only. It was an hour and a half video session of only the way Tom liked to receive the football. He's very detailed. What footy liked to come off, all that. It was an hour and a half session of like 100 clips of Turbo from early in the year. And I've just never seen a defensive game plan so planned around one bloke in my life. I'd imagine, because you would have played against a lot of teams that year, when you come up against the good defensive sides, particularly in the back end of the year when they start to figure out your attack, how hard was that for you when you're the main attacking threat?
Yeah, well, it was hard, and I do remember that game. You just beat us quite convincingly, but yeah, it just when you were getting name dropped and all that, it makes playing it a lot more difficult because you want time and space with the ball. So it's just something you got to navigate as a fullback. Often, fullbacks are the best players on the team, so they often get a lot of homework done on them.
Yeah,
I said playmakers sometimes don't be discouraged when they name drop you, because although they're saying I've got Tom, what they're actually really saying is
go the other way.
Please, Tom, don't fucking run at me. You can see the whites of their eyes.
That's what I was doing at centre last week. I was going, I've got everyone. Just don't come here.
Tommy, watching you sometimes, and you said you get that gut feel and you just call the ball at first frame, you just go bang and take them on and work off how they react to you. Were there some tries, like remember the one you scored against North Queensland, that once you scored you jumped up and went, mate, how did I do that?
Yeah, the North Queensland one was a bit like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a few that year. Yeah, but it was the game was that was the year when the 6 games just come in and they were having a free for all with them. So the game was quick. There was a lot of opportunities, which probably inflated some of those stats. But there was a few tries there that were.
There's some pretty good
nice.
ones.
Oh, mate, you beat everyone twice in that try. Poor Scotty Drinkwater. He had about 5 cracks at you and just continued to miss you.
There was also the year there was some games you were playing in front of no crowd. So that was interesting as well.
Oh, yeah. That was weird, wasn't it? When you can hear the echo of... You could hear literally everyone
like a glorified
talking.
training session, kind of.
Yeah. It was so weird.
Yeah.
Did you ever see the grand final in 2020 or 2021, the English Super League grand final?
No.
It was such a shame that there was no one there. It's one of the greatest games.
They kicked the field goal, didn't they?
Kick the field goal.
Yeah.
It hits the post, bounces. And Bevan French is just waiting for it to usher it over the dead ball line so it goes to Golden Point. And a St Helens player runs through.
Scores.
It's one of his first ever games. Puts the ball down and they win. And it was eerie. There is no one in the stadium. And I remember there's a picture of Jimmy Graham had played in about 6 or 7 or 8 grand finals, never won one. And his last ever game, he won. And there was him just with no one in the crowd, no one in the stadium, just by himself in the shadows, like down crying. And you go, mate, it was almost eerie.
Yeah.
It's surreal.
Yeah, that is weird, particularly at a grand final when you would thrive so much. Such a motivating factor would be same as the atmosphere that's there, and like to get you so emotional to see someone who it means so much to him, and you're playing in front of no one. Like you're literally just playing. At times it'd feel like you're only playing for yourself.
Did it feel like, boys? Did it feel like you're playing park football to a certain extent?
It did, yeah. It did. Like I just compared it to training. Like you're just having like a training hit out.
Yeah.
It's weird.
It must have, in some ways, it must have helped. It makes you just feel relaxed.
Yeah, it was a bit, and it's quite funny because you'd hear a lot of everyone's shit talk after the game, and you'd be able to hear it now because there's nothing in the way.
Tell you what, I certainly hope there's a COVID outbreak this week, so there's no one at Suncorp Stadium. That'd be handy.
Yeah,
Tom, preparation. How do you prepare for games? Are you superstitious, any way, shape, or form?
Oh, I go in waves. If you asked me before I hurt myself this year, I would have said I'm superstitious, but. I'm trying to get out a few of them, but I don't know. I go on waves, but I do have superstitions. Yeah, everyone does. Professional athletes are weird, aren't they?
It is weird. Yeah. It's the most intelligent response I've ever heard was I interviewed Elise Perry here, who's the greatest female cricketer of all time, incredibly. And I asked her, I said, "Are you superstitious?" She said, "I used to be," and then I came to the conclusion in my mind, if I'm superstitious about something, I'm telling myself that performance can't be better. That's as good as I can be. She said, but I don't think that. She goes, I always think I can get better, so I don't worry about superstitions.
Good point.
That's a good way to put it, isn't it?
It is, isn't it?
Quite like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose you affiliate superstition with not being complacent, but just wanting to get the same result as you did last week.
That's as good as I am.
Because you in the playing with you last year, you're superstitious in the way that you prepare physically. Like
gotcha.
You're in there, you're one of the first dressed, you're strapped, and you're getting the body so that when you run out there, there's nothing left to chance. You're 100% prepared.
Well, that's the thing, yeah. Like, obviously, I've been unlucky with a few injuries in the past. I just, like before, kind of made a decision that physically, I'm just going to do everything I can to get myself on the field and limit the chance of injuries. So if something does happen, at least I can be comfortable knowing that I didn't miss anything or leave a stone unturned. So that helps me, I guess, prepare and, feel better about yourself, I guess.
Tom, do you get nervous? Like in that 2021 season where you just, for instance, and you're in red-hot form, did you get nervous before games still?
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
I still get nervous to this day?
Yeah. But I enjoy that. If I was playing a game and I wasn't nervous, I'd be worried. And
That's scary.
Think there's something wrong and I probably shouldn't be doing it anymore. So
Yep. That is a point, and there will come that time.
Yep.
You do, when it does. You get there, and
but everyone's different. Like some people don't get nervous, but for me, if I'm not getting nervous for a game,
Tom, the most terrifying experience I have as a player, I was in England playing for Wigan, and we played Wakefield Trinity at Wakefield. There were about 1,500 people at the game. It was wet and windy, and they were bottom of the table. I remember standing there having my nervous pee, as we all do before the game, standing there going, mate, I'm not one bit nervous, and this is terrifying. Yeah, like just no adrenaline going through you. Every tackle you made, every time you were tackled, you felt everything. Yeah, it was awful.
Yeah,
awful experience.
Yeah, and people are going to shake their head when they hear this coming from me, but because I'm nowhere near on the level of you two, but I even in case, yeah, but the listeners don't, mate. In
case you've never seen a game of rugby league,
in case this is your first time listening, you may have a Dally M. I had a Dally M for the preseason, so
that trophy is still in our trophy cabinet.
The preseason
MVP, Cooper Johns.
I'm surprised they haven't ripped that out. I think
they must have lost the key or something.
I think they like the silverware.
Yeah,
I think they like filling out that. As soon as another trophy comes in, it'll be the first one out. But I used to have to something I had to find out about, and rugby league, as we know now, was never my calling. Like it wasn't something that I was
still trying to find out what it is.
Still trying to find out. But like I used to have to read. I had a notebook, and I used to have to read things that would actually get me nervous and emotional to try to provoke adrenaline in myself.
Please share what that was.
I don't remember.
What made you tick?
I can't remember what it was, but like I used to always sit in my locker, especially when I was at Manly, because that was kind of when I discovered it, like the back end of my days at Melbourne, and I had to like write things down and read certain words that made me like feel anything.
Give me one word.
I can't remember. There's books in here somewhere where I've got them written down. I'll find it.
I'm interested to read that book.
Weird cat. That's like the weird superstitions of players. Like players are always writing stuff, getting strapped a certain way, writing stuff on their wrists so that they can look at it to try to get emotion out of themselves. Like,
yeah. Do you listen before the game? Do you listen to music? Do you sleep? What is?
No, I can't never sleep before games. My brother's the opposite. I'm room with Jake, and he's literally any opportunity to sleep. So
yeah.
But I don't listen to much music. No,
yeah. No. What do you do? Just sit there and chill, chat to the other blokes?
Chat. Doing a fair bit of prep to get ready.
How long did it take, as far as a first grader, to find your voice as a leader, Tom? When you could sit there and actually you felt comfortable, giving a bloke a decent spray, whether at training or in a game?
Yeah, probably. Like the first couple of years I wouldn't have had that. When I started playing fullback and Brett Stewart around that was still at the club, and he kind of talked me through that, and because he was someone that was a very big talker and didn't abuse people, but would tell you if you're not doing something right, So he kind of taught me that it was kind of a requirement as fullback. You need to be able to do it to set the line and stuff, and on the back of that, and then probably in that 2017 World Cup as well, being around Billy Slater, who's someone's a really big talker as well. So you've got those two guys who are arguably two of the best fullbacks ever to play, and they're doing it. So you kind of learn that you need to do it if you want to be the best.
Tell you what, Tom, just sitting there, you said Brett Stewart, Manly. I'm just trying to think. I don't know if there's any other clubs in the history of the game that had a procession of just unbelievable fullbacks. So you go from Graham Eady into a bloke like, I'm trying to think, I'm going to forget one here that sat right in the middle of it, but it went to a bloke like Matthew Ridge, who came over. He was come over from the All Blacks in New Zealand, and was great, probably best competitor I ever played against. Then you go into Brett Stewart, and then you go into like Tom. It's been pretty amazing procession through.
Yeah.
So Snake, he's been had a big impact on your career,
massive
mentoring
impact,
you. Yeah.
I remember growing up just watching him play, and he was just unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
It's,
And then-
it's good fullbacks follow. Like you look at some good fullbacks always follow good fullbacks because they have people's like you would. I'm sure in your early days you would have learned fucking heaps off Snake.
Yeah.
Like you would have been hands on with you so many times.
Yeah, massive. Like, and it's funny. Like when I first played, coming to first grade, you know, I was playing on the wing, playing the centres, and probably didn't really want to play fullback because I was that nervous kid that didn't want to be in a position that, you know, you have to go out there and talk more, and you're more involved, and
And you're
you got
isolated.
more of a responsibility.
Yep.
So yeah, having someone like him around talking to you and helping you through that was I needed it.
Yeah. Well, even the only other club I can think of, like you said, that's had that procession would be the Melbourne Storm of the modern day Melbourne
Yeah.
Storm, following Billy Slater. You Yeah.
played for Australia, who was a Newcastle boy, incredible, best support player. I reckon he and Terry Lamb, best support players I've ever seen. Then it went into, of course, Billy, and now
Yeah.
you got Paps, and now
Munster played fullback
But
too.
yeah,
for a
Munster.
bit.
it went
that
from
year.
Munster to Jerome Hughes
Jerome.
to Scott Drinkwater
to
to Paps.
to
Nico was
Nico.
there.
And, yeah, Nico, Paps, and then even now Suafar Logo, who is fucking electric
Yeah.
back there. Like he's almost keeping Paps out of a spot.
Tom, to finish with, let's have a yarn about teammates and opponents. Favourite all-time teammate at club level?
Kieran Foran.
Yeah, right. Soon signed the extended deal now. What about that? It's
Did he
amazing.
re-sign, did he?
Yeah, re-signed
Oh,
with the Tigers.
He's playing some great footy. Just great guy, so passionate and goes so hard.
You
Hard to beat.
you two had on that left edge that year. You had a very. He complemented your game very well with
Yeah, very. Yeah,
you know
he was
the shapes that he played, how
Yeah.
straight he played. He opened up your game so much. on that
definitely.
edge.
He was one of the best players I played with as well. But just so, you know, when you got a good guy that goes that hard and just cares that much, it's easy choice that one.
Tommy, what about at rep level? Who you played with?
Probably go Boyd Cordner.
Mm.
Just the way he played the game.
What about
Incredible.
toughest opponent?
Probably say Cam Smith. In the fact that just whenever you come up against him, you knew you would
Yeah.
as a fullback.
Yeah, did he
nervous.
catch you out a lot in
Oh, yeah.
with his kicking game?
Yeah.
He was the worst.
Well, I
Second,
played it.
yeah.
One of his milestone games could have been his 300th or 350th or 500th. I don't know, whatever it was.
I think it was 400th at Amy Park.
Yep.
Yeah, it was a
It
400.
was the week before he kind of come off with a sore pec, and I was like, "This will be beauty. Hopefully, have a week off." And
Mm.
he didn't, and he absolutely ripped us to shreds.
It's amazing, isn't it? That Queensland trait. It's a Queensland trait they have at origin level. Whenever they're under pressure, you know, Smithy used to jump out on his left foot and just go whack down the field. They have a massive kick chase and just trap New South Wales down. You see that with Ches now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's their staple play when they're under pressure. How to swing things around.
Yeah. Well, you look at Smithy and Ches. They're probably the two best ever early
Yeah.
kicking like spine plays in the game.
What about, Tom, your worst roommate you've had?
So I've had Jake for a very long time, and you don't really get roommates in Origin. But being in camp, the worst person to be in camp with James Maloney.
Really?
Just be getting away from him at every opportunity. I found him hilarious at the start, but by the end of the 6 weeks, he was running.
Was he peppering you? Like was he
Oh,
going
yeah.
as a young bloke? Was he going after you, put shit on you all the
Yeah,
time?
yeah, he's not missing you.
Yeah. Wendell used to be one of those. You go away on tour with Wendell. The first 2 weeks were great fun. The next 2 weeks, wherever Wendell was, you go, no, I'm going to get. It was just full on.
Relentless.
Yeah. What about teammate who was best to have a night out with, Tom?
We probably spoke about him a bit before. Brad Parker,
Yeah.
good fun.
He's
Colonel
he's
Parker.
all time.
He's hilarious.
He's-
Hilarious. You just sit there and watch him, just listen to him talk the whole time.
Yeah, he's one of those blokes where you can just people watch him,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
he just makes you laugh based on nothing he's actually doing, but just like his facial expressions.
he's just
and
funny.
shit.
Mate, he nearly ruined Micah Sivo's career. Remember, Sivo was just charging over everyone.
Mate, he's an unbelievable player. Like, everyone gives shit on him, but he's played over 100 games and very well.
Mate,
Yeah,
we used to watch when old Hank Scorpio hit Sivo that night
Yeah.
and corked his leg. Sivo was a shell of a player for the next 6 months.
yeah.
He was Scorpio.
He was fully Hank Scorpio. Tell you what, a bloke who's also tough to be missed out there, who is an undercover hilarious bloke. Not many people would see it. Lockie Croker.
Yeah, he's He's dark funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Secret dirtbag.
Yeah.
No, just his humour is so dark.
Yeah.
But he's just so fun. Like, he's just got that dry humour
Yeah.
where you'd be sitting there and everyone would be drinking. And then after a few, he'd just get like a little bit belligerent and just start going after someone.
And if you go off one person one night, would just get hammered. And they might have not even done anything. He would just be into them.
Righto, finally. Teammate you never, ever want to have another night out with.
Oh. Former teammate to my right?
Yeah.
That's fine. Cooper Johns. No. Teammate, who's a punish? Oh, actually, the last night out I had with you was horrible.
Which one was it? The golf
Trip. I've got video footage of him, and it was not good.
Yeah, that's right.
I'll show you that later.
Yeah, we had it was after Mad Monday. It was like a golf trip.
Yeah.
A couple of days away up the Central Coast. That was one of my. Well, at this stage, I'd really let my hair down. I knew it was my last time going around, so I wanted to go out with a bang. And
You did exactly that.
I may have taken it too far.
Tommy, look, mate, we've taken up enough of your time. Or, Coop, do you want to do a couple of quick menus, or are we done?
Mate, no, let's take up too much time. You know what I want to do just before you go, though? Can we do State of Origin predictions?
Yeah.
Coming into the game?
My prediction, New South Wales to win 28-12.
Yep. Man of the match?
Dylan Edwards.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I thought he was unbelievable game 2. Where
Yeah.
he brought the ball back.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
killing
he
it.
is.
I think he would really suit that
For the opposition middles, Dylan Edwards is it's like death by 1,000 cuts.
Yeah.
It's just non-stop, just
And he
chipping
always beats someone.
always spinning
Yeah.
and beating
It's
blokes on
awkward.
his feet. And that's it, like big blokes, big middle defenders. Nothing tires them out like missing tackles in the middle.
Yeah, him and Brian, Toto does the same thing too.
Yeah.
Just always happens to find his front and just leave someone.
I watched him the other night, right, watching Penrith, and we spoke before about a mathematical equation. Watching how they build a performance is like a mathematical equation.
It is.
They held the ball, they controlled it, right? I reckon for the entire game, 80% of their attacking sequences
Turning people
finished with
under.
inside balls, making the opposition make tackles, and they just kept doing it relentlessly, and then they just turn the ball over and say to Brisbane, right, bring it off your own line. And that's why when you're watching big games, and like the grand final last year, teams collapse in the last 20 minutes because there's nothing left in the tank.
Brisbane played that well too. They beat anyone else that night.
Yeah.
But that's just what they do.
Yeah, it's you know what? You've played a lot of footy with Nathan Cleary. Watching the grand final last year, what did you expect that kind of thing? Because you've played a heap of Origin with him. Did you expect that kind of performance from him in that second half?
Oh, look, to be honest with you, 20 to go, I thought they were done. But it's probably my bad for counting out like a champion that he is.
Yeah.
So, if you know him, you know that he's capable of that.
Yeah.
When he
so
scored
good.
that, when he set up that first try,
was
and
in,
he put Leota in,
Yeah.
and you just see all of a
He just
sudden
started
Brisbane's
owning the
ass
game.
just start to tighten a little bit.
I
Yeah.
was watching from Vietnam of all places, so it's a good watch. Because I'm good mates with Luke Garner, so I was cheering for him.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
true.
He
Yes.
played well in that.
Yeah.
He played really, really
I
well.
seen Garns last night actually.
Yeah.
He was down at Ned Brockman's documentary.
Was he?
Garns, yeah, he's
All
everywhere.
roads lead to Ned Brockman.
I know Garns, mate. Of all people, what are you doing out of Penrith? Who's your predictions,
He plays
mate?
for Penrith. That's what he's doing out there.
That's right. That's right.
That's true.
Believe
He's
it or
left,
not.
Tom.
That's true. He's left the Tigers.
I think New South Wales 26-18. Man of the match, I'll go Payne Haas.
All right, I'm going to go New South Wales. I'm going to say it is so damn close. I'm going to say 21-20. Mitchell Moses field goal. Man of the match, I'm going to say Liam Martin.
Why were you closing your
Yeah, I was
eyes?
going to ask.
were you
He's trying to envision it or something.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Was it that your opinion means more than ours? It's like you were channeling it, saying, right, this is actually going to happen.
Dude,
I'm controlling the result.
Tom will be able to comment on this. It's a mental practice called visualization. I was visualizing it, and then I put it out in the universe. Now I'm manifesting it.
Lovely. I
Thank
like
you.
it. Tommy Trbojevic,
Thanks,
thanks
Turbo.
mate. Legend.
Thanks for having me,
man.
guys.
Let's go have a drink, maybe.
Yeah, I'll be all right.